started this morning. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Moore,
Here.
Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Cone, Alderwoman Howard,
Here.
Alderwoman Ingracia,
Present.
Chairwoman Krewson.
Here.
4 present, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. We have 2 board bills before us today. First one is Board Bill number 203, and 213, excuse me. Antonio, would you like to present that bill?
Sure.
Or whichever,
Right, yeah.
whoever's best.
All right, well, Antonio Strong, Deputy Director of Finance Administration, and I also have Rob Salarano, our Properties Manager for the airport. I will be presenting the board bill for the draft ordinance authorizing the transfer of $13.7 million from the Airport Debt Service Stabilization Fund to the Airport Revenue Fund. This is an annual transfer that we make on an annual basis. We transfer that into our revenue fund, and we transfer it back at the end of the year. The purpose of this transfer is to ensure that we have enough debt service coverage ratio and maintain a debt service coverage ratio that's a little bit more than 1.25. And that's per the bond indenture. The bond indenture requires you to have debt service coverage of at least 1.25. This transfer ensures that we do maintain that. Also, the bond rating agencies want to see you to have a 1.25 or even better. When we're talking to the bond rating agencies, they actually ask that we have somewhere in the 1.3 range. And with this transfer that we do on an annual basis, we do maintain a sufficient debt service coverage ratio. Currently, the debt service stabilization fund has a balance of $33.7 million. We're only required per the bond indenture to maintain $27.4 million. So we do have a little bit of funding of $6.3 million within that debt service stabilization fund. That is a little bit more than what we need. Also, when I talk about like the credit rating agencies, we do have a Moody's rating of A3. S&P gives us an A-, and Fitch has given us a BBB+, and they actually raised our outlook from stable to positive. So at this point in time, I would like to request your approval for the transfer of the $13.7 million from the Debt Service Stabilization Fund to the Airport Revenue Fund.
Okay. Any questions, Alderman Moore?
When you transfer this money, you say you pay it back?
Yeah, so this is just really just a paper transaction.
Okay.
So we have a total of, like, if you looked at our balance sheet as of fiscal year end, we have a total of $270 million in cash and investments. And within that $270 million, we have several funds that are restricted. And so we're just transferring it from one fund to the other, and then we transfer it back.
Have you ever had a time that you weren't able to get it back transfer it back?
Not since I've been there. And plus, this started, I believe, July 2011. That's when we first had our airport use and lease agreement that actually approved this. And since that time period, no, we have not had a time.
So you say you have $6.3 million surplus?
Yes.
So what, can you use that, or what do you just?
You can only use it for operational emergencies or to cover any deficiencies for debt service.
Even though it's surplus?
Yes.
That's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Alderwoman Howard?
I don't have any questions.
Alderwoman Ingracia?
No questions. I remember this from last year.
Okay. If there are no further questions, the chair will
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that we pass out Board Bill 213 with a do pass recommendation. We have a second. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Alderman Moore,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Cone, Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia,
Aye.
Chairwoman Krewson.
Aye.
4 aye votes to pass.
Okay. Next board bill up is Board Bill number 214, and this has to do with the modification to a lease agreement, which happy to let either of you describe.
Aldermen, Alderwomen, we're requesting your approval for a long-term lease agreement with Southwest Airlines Company Incorporated. They're leasing the entirety of Cargo City Building 3, which is on the east side of Terminal 2. The Cargo City Building 3 consists of 20,247 square feet of internal space and 24,600 square feet of adjoining unenclosed space. They use the space for provisioning of aircraft in Terminal 2, and they've made a $2 million investment in the building and the environment around the building to make the building work. Total annual rental rate is $175,155.72 a year, and that's subject to adjustment every 5 years. The term of the lease agreement, the initial term is 15 years, beginning January 1st, 2017, ends December 31st, 2031, and there's one 5-year renewal option. Approval required as the Director of Airports, Airport Commission, City Board of V&A, and the Board of Aldermen. We respectfully request your approval of this lease agreement with Southwest Airlines.
Okay, Alderman Moore, any questions?
Are you just extending the lease?
This is actually a separate lease. Right now, they have a short-term lease in place that's 3 years, and that allowed them to move into the building. They started to do all the work on the building. They made the changes, and now this is a long-term lease.
And how long is the long term?
This is 15 years, sir, plus one 5-year renewal term.
And they're still paying the same rate, 1.75?
They went up slightly because their space went up slightly with the long-term lease, but it's still the same rate, yes.
But adjustment every 5 years.
And it's adjustment every 5 years, right?
That's all I have.
Okay. Alderman Howard?
How much have they invested in, I guess, refitting this building?
$2 million.
$2 million. And what will the rate that the adjustment would be? Is there a cap on that?
No, there's no cap on that, and that's according to CPI, Consumer Price Index, every 5 years. At the 10-year mark, they can request that we do an appraisal and redo it by appraisal.
Okay, so along with this lease, are they responsible for maintenance of the building?
It's not a triple net, so we're responsible for the structure of the building, and if there's a roof leak, they're going to call us. But they're responsible for just the internal cleaning and things like that. But maintenance issues are mainly for us.
Okay, is this sufficient to cover that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's our standard lease rate over there in Terminal 2, in the Cargo City.
And this is annually?
That's annually, yes.
Okay. How big is that building? Here.
Yes.
24,600 square feet. Okay. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Gracia?
No questions.
Okay, I have no further questions. Happy to have a motion.
Make a motion to pass the do pass recommendation.
Can we
Board
have a
Bill
second?
214.
Second.
Thank you. The motion was second. Pass out Board Bill 214 with a due pass recommendation. With the clerk, please call the roll.
Previous row?
Request for
Second.
Look at you.
No objection to previous roll? Okay. Board Bill 214 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We're done.
Thank you.
We will have one more meeting, because we have 4 bills that are being introduced tomorrow. We haven't set the time for that meeting, but we'll have one more meeting before we,
Before tomorrow?
before we go out of session.
Oh, I was
Before
like.
the end of the year.
You said we got bills we're introducing tomorrow, and I'm
No,
like,
first
oh,
read.
okay,
We've got
first
4,
read.
Well, tomorrow means today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on, we're here.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Do you want to send me a couple dates?